vipastupasi.
Tad brahmanan paramasava vipastupasi.
Pala pashu iva vibho pragrihita danda.
Pala Pashuniva Vibho Pragrihita Dandaha.
My dear great and powerful Lord Shiva, who was created first from the mouth of Lord Brahma in order to protect the Brahmanas in pursuing education, austerities, vows and self-realization. As protector of the Brahmanas, you always protect the regulatory principles they follow. Just as a cowherd boy keeps a stick in his hand to give protection to the cows. So the main thing is, even in Varnashram also, everything is set so that you can control your senses and be regulated. So here Prabhupada says a specific function of a human being in society, irrespective of social status, is to practice control of mind and senses by observing the regulatory principles and joining the Vedic Shastras. So, one name of Lord Shiva is Pashupati, means he protects the living entities in their developed consciousness, and so that they can follow the Vedic system of Varna Ashram. The word Pashu refers to animal as well as to human entity. So therefore, Lord Shiva is seen here to be a protector of both animals and the human beings. And then in the next paragraph, he's a protector of human beings, particularly Brahmanas. So the reason here is to indicate that Daksha is a Brahmana.
Therefore
You should not. You've done it, but now I'll give you. He's saying I'm a Brahmana because this Daksha is now glorifying the Lord. So you should protect me. That's what he's saying now. Yeah. And then another feature of this word is that persons who are simply attached to ritualistic portion of the Vedas and do not understand the situation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are not any more advanced than animals, Pashupati. So whatever you do, if you don't develop attraction for the words of the Supreme Lord, then it's useless. All the occupation and all his labor is useless. Shama eva hi kevalam. So basically Lord Shiva destroyed the yajna to punish Daksha because of his inability to follow the proper etiquette. Okay. So Lord Shiva's punishment, Srila Prabhupada says, was just like that of a cowherd boy who keeps a stick to frighten his animals. So their reasoning and argument is argumentum ad baculum. Unless there is a rod, they do not obey. Force is required for the animalistic class of men, whereas those who advance are convinced by reasons, arguments and scriptural authority. So this is one of the reasons. Some people have to use force. But if the person is of a highly developed consciously, then by reasoning they can understand and accept. So when you do books distribution, you come to different types of people. So you can appreciate what Prabhupada is saying. Yeah?
Samaveda Dandokaya. Finally Danda.
Yeah. So then Prabhupada says, persons who are simply attached to Vedic rituals without further advancement of devotional service or Krishna consciousness are almost like animals. And Lord Shiva is in charge of giving them protection and sometimes punishing them as he punished Daksha. So you can see a lot of materialistic people worship Lord Shiva because they want something from Lord Shiva. But at the same time they also get some reactions, taking birth in a different species also because they don't follow the things properly also. But in any case, Lord Shiva is very kind to such people. So sometimes he guides them, sometimes he beats them. Text 15.
योऽसौ मया विदिततत्त्वदृशा सभायाम्
योऽसौ मया विदिततत्त्वदृशा सभायाम्
क्षिप्तो दुरुक्तिविशकैर्विगणय्य तन्माम्
क्षिप्तो दुरुक्तिविशकैर्विगणय्य तन्माम्
अर्वाक्पतन्तमर्हत्तमनिन्दयापाद्
अर्वाक्पतन्तमर्हत्तमनिन्दयापाद्
दृष्ट्यार्दया स भगवान् स्वकृतेन तुष्येत्
दृष्ट्यार्दया स भगवान् स्वकृतेन तुष्येत्
I did not know your full glories. For this reason I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly, although you do not take them into account. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality. But you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. So now he is openly asking for forgiveness. Alright. So similarly, in our devotional life, when you are in a very precarious situation in dealing with another devotee or what, you should take this position. Doesn't matter whether you are right or wrong. If you are wrong, more the reason. If you are right, there's nothing wrong in asking for forgiveness, because Krishna will still protect the righteous. So it's a very important attitude that the Daksha is now showing, and he could still not say all these words, but he is accepting his misdeeds, his foolishness, his arrogance, his enviousness. So he says that I didn't know you exactly, and I said very harsh thing to you, and he was going to hell. So Prabhupada says, actually the insulting words used by Daksha against Lord Shiva were enough to throw him perpetually into a hellish life. That's how offensive he was. Very offensive. For the, Prabhupada saying like that, it means very offensive. But Lord Shiva was kind towards him, to neutralize the offense, so he doesn't have to suffer in hell. Yeah. So then Prabhupada writes, here Daksha is trying to show his gratitude, and Prabhupada writes, sometimes a father punishes his child, and when the child is grown up and comes to his senses, he understands that the father's punishment was not actually punishment but mercy. Right? Usually in the modern society, people, both the father is no good, the mother is no good, and the children are no good. So no one can actually guide anyone in Kali Yuga. We're not talking about civil society, I'm talking about the greatest society in the world. There's no really culture anymore. So when in the old days, when the father punishes, the child may feel hurt or whatever, but later on they realize it was for my own good. They realize, and then they appreciate their parents and so on. Many times you hear people say, we come from a very strict family, my parents, but they never say bad things about the parents. They always say they were strict and we became okay. But in the modern society, you can't be strict. You have to let them do what they want, to develop their own crazy ideas, and that's okay. You have problems. Now you see society is full of problems. So here we can see everything that is been given by the punishment, everything is for the benefit of the person receiving it. So when there is a punishment, it should be meaningful. It shouldn't be out of anger or out of envy you punish someone. It should be meaningful. To rectify and help the person. So therefore he is saying, this is your mercy and I thank you. So then Prabhupada said, this is a symptom of a person making advancement in the path of Krishna consciousness. So similarly for us, like I said, we should be willing to ask for forgiveness when even if we feel that we were not treated properly. Okay. So generally, when we are going through our life and there's so many difficulties, we should accept it as a mercy from, and that particular verse which we read was Tattenu Punshu Samiksha. So we have to think that is the grace of the Lord, and we surrender and not worry about the punishments. Text 16.
मैत्रेय उवाच
मैत्रेय उवाच
क्षमाप्यैवं समिद्वांसां ब्रह्मणा चानुमन्त्रितः कर्मशान्तानयामाश सोपाध्यायार्त्विग आदिभिः.
The great sage Maitreya said, thus being pardoned by Lord Shiva, King Daksha, with the permission of Lord Brahma, again began the performance of yajna along with the great learned sages, the priests and others. 17.
वैष्णवानां यज्ञशान्त्यायै त्रिकल्पानां द्विजोत्तमाः पुरोदशां निरावापान् वीरसंसर्गशुद्धये.
Thereafter, in order to resume the activities of sacrifice, the Brahmanas first arranged to purify the sacrificial arena of the contamination caused by the touch of Virabhadra and the other ghostly followers of Lord Shiva. Then they arranged to offer into the fire the oblations known as Purodasha. Okay, so Purodasha. So remember during the fight, what they did, they made a mess and they passed urine and all those things. So the whole thing has become stool. So they had to now cleanse it, and then they have to start the yajna. Okay. So Prabhupada says a Vishnu yajna or an offering to Vishnu cannot be performed uncleanly. Has to be clean. So therefore, even when we go up to the altar and do service, we have to make sure we are clean, that we have taken bath and so on. Otherwise, our action becomes offensive. So therefore, it becomes seva aparad. Yeah, seva aparad. Yeah. So therefore, this is an important point in terms of our practice. This verse is telling how one should practice properly. Okay? Practice worship Krishna means you must be clean. So maybe we sometimes have one standard for the deity worship with the temple and one at the home. So hopefully by the time you go back to Godhead, both standards are the same. Yeah, because if you want to have a deity at home, then you better have a standard. Otherwise, don't keep a deity at home. Keep pictures. And still be clean like that. Unnecessarily, a lot of devotees have deities and then they don't take care. You go to the home, you can see the deities are covered with dust, and then they anyway. That's my point. So everything must be kept neat and clean. And food subs also should be neat and clean. And food subs should be prepared. How many hours?
3 hours.
3 hours maximum. Okay? You can't just do morning and then offer in the evening like that. Or cook like after Mangala Aarti, sometimes pujaris will come cook for lunch and go. This is all nonsense. You can't do like that. Standard is not more than 3 hours. Within 3 hours it should be cooked and offered. And that's it. Okay? So in any case, the whole place should be clean. The deity place should be clean, the altar should be clean, the kitchen should be clean, everything should be neat and clean.
Actually, normally they say that one can determine if a house is clean or not by just looking at their kitchen.
Okay.
Not wife. That
Is
was
that right? Is that right? I don't know.
woman in the home. They say by looking at the woman in the home.
Also? I don't know. That may be true also. I don't know, but that could be true. Not true. Yeah, so therefore, the point here is when you are dealing with Vishnu, Narayana, Krishna, you must be very clean. Okay? So for example, if you wear dhoti today to go on the altar, you cannot wear tomorrow if it's cotton. So, some devotees, they wear, they take it out and they keep it until the next seva. You can't do that.
Once
Cotton,
it comes off the hip.
huh?
Once it comes off the hip, it's considered to be impure.
Not like that. 24 hours.
But I heard it's
but why only
Yes.
cotton, Prabhu?
Cotton takes 24 hours to be unclean. Within 24 hours, it gets clean, unclean.
In olden days, like people wash in the night only, like they were, and before go to sleep, and then next day they were up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'll dry very in the night.
But then it's
on
not
the same
applicable.
day, you can remove and put back.
Yeah, you can wear, but as long as you didn't go anywhere with it. Yeah, yes, you can.
But it's not applicable for any other kind of dresses like nylon or
No, nylon not allowed.
allowed,
It's
right?
unclean.
It's different.
Nylon is from the waste oil and all those things.
Oh,
It's
but then
contaminated
silk
oil.
and silk is okay.
Silk is considered pure. Silk, wool, jute. Jute also 24 hours. You can't wear more. Wool is very clean, but wool gets very, the wool balls. So that one will
Mhm.
accumulate dirt. So we generally don't wear wool. Silk is the best. You can wear silk. And of course, if silk gets all the dirt on it, then you wash it. Otherwise, you can dry it in the sun and wind. It should be considered clean.
Silk gets purified by air.
Uh,
Cotton gets
or
purified
some-
by water.
Yes.
Mm.
You can do it. Say
But
it.
isn't silk actually comes out of the worm, right?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
still
ahimsa.
considered
This ahimsa silk. is
pure.
Oh, ahimsa silk.
There are different varieties.
Marcus.
Ahimsa silk.
Anyway, they say all that, but silk is considered always pure.
Pure.
Yeah, just like cow dung or conch shell.
Mm.
So think like that when you go on the altar. And then you can't wear cloth that are torn or with holes. All those are not allowed. All those are seva bara.
Stitched clothes also you cannot wear.
Also stitched cloth not. So men should be learning how to wear copings, not wear your underwear and to learn how to wear copings.
Yeah, my father actually, bro, like even till today,
Yeah, of course.
they actually follow that very strictly.
Yeah. So then anyway, Prabhupada continues. And to purify is sanctification. So it's possible only by chanting the holy name of Vishnu. Trikapala. So Vishnu is Trikapala, which can sanctify the three worlds. So then another point here is, Prabhupada says, in other words, it is admitted herein that the followers of Lord Shiva are generally unclean. No, it's a fact, we all know that. They are not even very hygienic. They do not take baths regularly, they wear long hair, and they smoke ganja. Persons of such irregular habits are counted among the ghosts. Since they were present in the sacrificial arena, the atmosphere became polluted, and it had to be sanctified by Trikapala oblations, which indicated the invocation of Vishnu's prayer. Text 18.
Advaryunatta havisa yajamano vishampate diya vishuddhaya dadyau tata pradurabhuddharihi.
Great sage Maitreya said to Vidura, "My dear Vidura, as soon as King Daksha offered the clarified butter with Yajur Veda mantras in sanctified meditation, Vishnu appeared there in his original form as Narayana. So everything was perfect. So the Lord himself came to see him. In this case, Lord Vishnu appeared. Okay, it's a plenary expansion of an expansion of an expansion. Text 19.
Tada swaprabhaya tesham dyotayantyadisho dasha mushnam steja upanitas tarkshyena stotra vajina.
Lord Narayana was seated on the shoulder of Stotra or Garuda, who had big wings. As soon as the Lord appeared, all directions were illuminated, diminishing the luster of Brahma and the others present. So now you see the description of Lord Narayana.
Shyamo hiranyarasano arka kirita jushto Neelalaka bhramara mandita kundalasyaha Shankhabja chakra sharachapa gadasi charma Vyagrair hiranmaya bhujhairiva karnikaraha
His complexion was blackish, his garment yellow like gold, and his helmet as dazzling as the sun. His hair was bluish, the color of black bees, and his face was decorated with earrings. His 8 hands held a conch shell, wheel, club, lotus flower, arrow, bow, shield, and sword. And they were decorated with golden ornaments such as bangles and bracelets. His whole body resembled a blossoming tree beautifully decorated with various kinds of flowers. How many hands he was showing?
8.
8. Normally he comes with 4,
4.
but in this case he's showing 8 hands. The special what form he is. And he has all the, how many items he's carrying?
7 actually. 8, but
Arrow, bow, shield and sword. Extra.
yeah.
He's
8
holding
items.
8
8 items.
items in 8 hands. So all these are for protection of the devotees, blessing and protection. Prabhupada writes, generally in the 4 hands of Vishnu there are a wheel, club, conch shell and lotus flower. These 4 symbols are seen in the 4 hands of Vishnu in different arrangements. The club and the wheel are the Lord's symbols of punishment for the demons and miscreants. And the lotus flower and conch shell are used to bless the devotees. There are always 2 classes of men, the devotees and the demons.
So here arrow, bow, shield and sword.
Sword and shield, he has. Anyway, it's interesting.
So actually, bow and arrow is for Rama, and sword and shield is for Parashuram.
Okay. Continue. I don't know. Just one of the. I think his name I read somewhere is like Hari. I think that's this form is Hari.
Already here, like, Parashuram is sword and shield.
Go on. No man. He actually had an axe, not a sword.
Axe.
Yeah.
This is different Bhagavad.
Devata
Vakshasyaadhishrita-vadhurvanamalyudara Hasavalokakalaya ramayamscha vishvam Parshvabhramadvyajanachamararajahamsaha Shvetata sashino parirajyamanaha
Vishnu looked extraordinarily beautiful because the goddess of fortune and a garland were situated on his chest. What is that?
Srivatsa.
Srivatsa. His face was beautifully decorated with a smiling attitude which can captivate the entire world, especially the devotees. Fans of white hair appeared on both sides of the Lord like white swans, and the white canopy overhead looked like the moon. So he's coming in a big, what is that?
Very
Opulent way he's coming. It's like a
All
canopy
reverence.
and yeah. Huh? Not
like in
really.
an asan, he is coming.
Yeah, right. He's coming in like an asana on top of
Garuda.
on top of Garuda. He's on a asana. Yeah, interesting. So you can see the two fans on the side.
You don't see anybody holding it.
Yeah,
Because of the description.
yeah.
What is it about?
So then Prabhupada writes, he says the smiling face of Lord Vishnu is pleasing to the whole world. Not only devotees but even non-devotees are attracted by such a smile. This verse nicely describes how the sun, moon, 8-petal lotus flower and the humming blackbirds were represented by the fans of hair, the overhead canopy, the moving earrings on both sides of his face and his blackish hair. All together accompanied by the conch shell, wheel club, lotus flower, bow, arrow, shield and sword in his hands. Everybody is astounded by the beauty of the Lord. Look at that.
But this picture is not there.
Here actually,
That one, Prabhu, there. That one. See. Bottom, left to that, yeah.
No,
Go
no.
up, go up. I saw
no,
go
right,
Go
next
On
to
your
that, right.
Yeah, that one.
That one,
yes.
yeah,
up.
yeah.
No, the canopy one is up. Go up.
Different picture.
No,
Go
no,
up.
but that is also.
Go up, Prabhu, there is one more. Little up. Savan, yeah.
See there,
That
on
one.
the
Center.
On the
right,
right,
Which?
extreme right.
extreme
Yes.
right, yes, that one. Yeah.
Ah, that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Garuda is a helmet too.
So he has like 8 hands.
Yeah.
8 hands.
Okay.
There's a reflection of this photo.
Yeah, reflection of the
Huh?
reflection of the photo that we
We
have
have
here.
Okay.
this picture.
Yeah, that's the picture. But not complete.
Reflect
Okay.
reverse.
Next.
First half one.
तम् उपगतामालक्ष्य सर्वे सुरगणादयः प्रणेमो सहसोत्ताय ब्रह्मेन्द्रत्रयक्षनायकाः.
As soon as Lord Vishnu was visible, all the demigods, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, the Gandharvas and all present there, immediately offered their respectful obeisances by falling down straight before him. Like they all paid dandavats, like that, falling straight. Okay. Next 23.
तत्तेजसा हतरुचः सन्नजिह्वास सदावसाः मूर्ध्ना धृताञ्जलिपूता उपातस्तुरधोक्षजम्.
The presence of the glaring effulgence of the bodily luster of Narayana, everyone else's luster faded away and everyone stopped speaking. Fearful with awe and veneration, all present touched their hands to their heads and prepared to offer their prayers to the Supreme Personality of God as Adokshata. So this is Adokshata. So 800 form is Adokshata. Alright, text 24.
अप्यर्वाग्वृत्तयो यस्य महीत्वा आत्मभू आदयः यतामते गृणते स्म कृतानुग्रहविग्रहम्.
Although the mental scope of even demigods like Brahma was unable to comprehend the unlimited glories of the Supreme Lord, they were all able to perceive the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by His grace. Only by such grace could they offer their respectful prayers according to their different capacities. So the important thing is, normally the demigods can't see Narayan or Vishnu, even when they go to Svetadvip, he doesn't reveal. But here they are allowed to, and the main thing is by His grace, by His mercy. It's not like because they are there, he has to come and show His form. He doesn't do that. But this is like a very special case. He's showing His mercy to all of them. So Prabhupada writes, this is prayers to Him, right? He cannot be completely described, actually. It's not easy. It is said that Ananta, direct incarnation Lord, has unlimited mouths, and with each mouth He has been trying to describe the glories of the Lord for an unlimited span of time. Yet the glories of the Lord remain unlimited, and He therefore never finishes. It's not possible for us, right, to understand or to glorify the unlimited Lord. So how do we then worship? We worship according to our capacity, or we follow in the footsteps of the Jivasacharya and follow their prayers and so on. That's the only way we can meet up to the standard. Otherwise we can't even compose prayers like this and so on. Yeah. So then he quotes a verse from the Brahma Samhita, right? Sevan Mukhe Atah Shri Krishna Nama Di, that verse. Sevan Mukhe Hi. You better know all this. For the exam. So service of the Lord begins with the tongue. And for us, chanting. We all started chanting and taking prasadam. The chanting is the main way. Alright, by chanting we can perfect. By taking prasadam we can purify our sinful tendencies. Prabhupada writes, chanting is the medicine and prasada is the diet. With these processes one can begin his service, and as the service increases, the Lord reveals more and more to the devotee. But there's no limit to His glories, and there's no limit to engaging oneself in the service of the Lord. So this is where we make mistake. We limit our
service.
And chanting or whatever. We limit. Text 25.
Daksho grihitarhana sadhanottamam Yagneshwaram Vishwasrajam Param Yagneshwaram Vishwasrajam Param Gurum Sunandanandadi Anugairrutam Muda Grinan Prapade Prayata Kritanjalihi.
The Lord Vishnu accepted the oblations offered in the sacrifice. Daksha, the Prajapati, began with great pleasure to offer respectful prayers unto him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually the master of all sacrifices and the preceptor of all the Prajapatis, and he is served even by such personalities as Nanda and Sunanda. 26.
Who are these members on?
His servants. They are gatekeepers.
So just like Jai Vijaya.
Yes.
So he has 8 servants.
8 servants. 8 gates.
8 gates. 4 gates.
4 gates.
No, they're more than that. No?
Yeah,
4
8.
gates.
Which direction?
Anyway, you can see they should be in that
Yeah.
chart. The gates, they are standing there. So there are 2 in each.
Jai
2
Vijaya
doors.
is on the
2
west.
doors.
Yeah.
2 doors right at each.
Oh yeah.
Nanda Sunanda is on the north.
North, huh? Alright. Daksha.
Daksha Uvacha शुद्धं स्वधाम्नि उपरातखिल बुद्ध्यवस्था बुद्ध्यावस्था शुद्धं स्वधाम्नि उपरातखिल बुद्ध्यावस्थम् चिन्मात्रमेकमभयं प्रतिसिद्ध्यमायम् तिष्ठांस्तत्तयैव पुरुषत्वमुपेत्य तस्याम् आस्ते भवानपरिशुद्धविवात्मतन्त्रः
Daksha addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, you are transcendental to all speculative positions. You are completely spiritual, devoid of all fear, and you are always in control of the material energy. Even though you appear in the material energy, you are situated transcendentally. You are always free from material contamination because you are completely self-sufficient. Text 27.
पृथ्वीज उचुः तत्त्वं न ते वयमनञ्जनरुद्रशापात् कर्माण्यवग्रहधियो भगवन् विदामः धर्मोपलक्षणमिदं त्रिवृद् अधवारयाख्यम् ज्ञातं यदर्थमधिदैवमधो व्यवस्थाः
Peace addressed the Lord, saying, O Lord, transcendental to material contamination, by the curse offered by Lord Shiva's men, we have become attached to fruitive activities, and thus we are now fallen, and therefore do not know anything about you. On the contrary, we are now involved in the injunctions of the three departments of the Vedic knowledge under the plea of executing rituals in the name of Yagna. We know that you have made arrangements for distributing the respective shares of the demigods. It's interesting, their prayers is so different from Daksha, right? They are like complaining and wanting something. Isn't it? So similarly, you can see how different when you are with your spiritual master. You see, different disciples will come. They'll ask for different things. Yeah, it's like that. I've seen it. So everyone, according to where they are at, the prayer or whatever they say is a reflection of what's in the heart. That's how it is. So by looking all these prayers, we also can appreciate, right? Even at that level, they also have some tinges of material things, and what to speak of us, we are not totally free from material contamination. So therefore, we have to somehow or other practice pure devotion service, which means a lot of austerities for us. So Lord Vishnu here is addressed as Ananjana, free from material contamination. Everything else is contaminated in this material world by the three modes of material nature. Text 28.
Sadasya uchuhu उत्पत्त्यधावन शरण उरुक्लेश दुर्गे अंतकोग्र व्यालान् विस्ते विषय मृगतृष्यात्मगेहोरुभारः द्वन्द्वा स्वभ्रे खलमृगभये शोक दावे आज्ञशार्तः पादौ कस्ते शरणदा कदयाति कामोपृष्टाः
meter, but anyway. Yeah.
This is different. Some other, this is longer, Prabhu, than Brahma Samhita. This is,
No,
yeah,
it's
it is.
not the meter. Maybe what you can do is just break them into
8,
half, so in 8,
yeah.
and then it will work.
It's not.
No, this is very big actually.
So this is another.
Which
Yeah, you can have another meter, Vedic meters, where they chant in your club.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, translation. The members of the assembly addressed the Lord. O exclusive shelter for all who are situated in troubled life in this formidable fort of conditional existence, the time element, like a snake, is always looking for an opportunity to strike. This world is full of ditches of so-called distress and happiness, and there are many ferocious animals always ready to attack. The fire of lamentation is always blazing, and the mirage of false happiness is always alluring, but one has no shelter from them. Thus foolish persons live in the cycle of birth and death, always overburdened in discharging their so-called duties, and we do not know when they will accept the shelter of your lotus feet. Interesting prayer. So Prabhupada says, the whole prayer is that there are people who are not worshipping Vishnu. So Prabhupada says there are persons who are not in Krishna consciousness are living a very precarious life. And all this is because we are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And our movement is meant to help all this poor, distressed person. So if you give people Krishna consciousness, that is the greatest welfare work. Okay? And then people will see us as well-wishers. Text 29.
Rudra uvacha Tava varadavaranggrav asisheha kalarthe. This is Brahma Samhita. Hyapi munibhi Brahma Samhita.
Okay.
Hyapi munibhirasaktairadarena haniye. Yadi rachita dhyam ma vidyaloko apaviddham. Japati na ganaye tattvat paranugrahena.
Shiva said, my dear Lord, my mind and consciousness are always fixed on your lotus feet, which, as the source of all benediction and the fulfillment of all desires, are worshipped by all liberated great sages, because your lotus feet are worthy of worship. With my mind fixed on your lotus feet, I am no longer disturbed by persons who blaspheme me, claiming that my activities are not purified. I do not mind their accusations, and I excuse them out of compassion, just as you exhibit compassion toward all living entities. Interesting, isn't it? Right? Yeah, but it's still an interesting prayer. Anyway, Prabhupada says he's expressing his regret, Lord Shiva himself, because he got angry and had to go and disturb the sacrifice and kill Daksha. So later on he reinstated Daksha, and so for the whole thing that happened, as someone who's like a senior person, he feels bad about the whole thing. So that's why his prayer also is interesting, I find. So then he says, Prabhupada says, and he makes us, appreciate Lord Shiva, that his mind is always fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna. So he's not really disturbed anymore. He's not worried about all those personalities, So what it means is, if we follow Krishna consciousness nicely, then we won't be easily disturbed. And remember, Lord Shiva was disturbed because he was associating with material nature, little bit. So that's why. Otherwise, Lord Shiva is never disturbed. For this whole incident, we can understand he had to go through that to show us that, if we are not Krishna conscious, we will be disturbed. Anything will disturb us. Okay.
In this case, the cause of his disturbance is mother, Prakriti. Right? So
Yes, Prakriti.
Yes.
Because she actually Sati.
Association.
She's Prakriti.
Yeah, she's Prakriti. She's Durga. She's the material nature. Okay, as soon as one does devotional service, one is immediately protected by the energy.
Daivihiyesha.
Yeah, Maya, what is it?
Daivihiyesha.
No,
Devi Prakriti Ashrita.
no. That is true also. That is true. No. What is that prayer? I forgot. Mam Chayo
Vibhicharena Bhakti Yogana
Bhakti Yoga says.
Sagunan Samasatya.
Then you are situated in Brahma Bhuya Ekautati. That's fixing transcendental. All the material qualities won't affect you, and you are immediately in Brahman, status of Brahman realization. Prabhupada quotes that also. And then you are not hankering for material things. So as long as we hanker for material things, we will always be disturbed. Definitely will be disturbed. So every time you find yourself hankering for some material things, then you should take a step back and think, and then proceed from that point how you want to tackle it. Prabhupada says this program has to be followed strictly by everyone. What is that? To be always Krishna conscious. Smartavya Satatam Vishnu Vishmartavya Najapati. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That means always 24 hours serving Krishna conscious activity. So if you want to get out of this material modes, get out of this world, the only remedy therefore is to continue Krishna consciousness rigidly. He didn't say laxly, rigidly. Huh? He's been forward with us and he's telling us rigidly, seriously, to be situated in the right position. Text 30.
Bhruguruvacha Yanmaya Gahanaya Pahritatma Bodha Brahmadayastanu Tvapantaha Natman Shritam Tava Vidantyadhunapi Tattvam Soyam prasidatu bhavan pranatatma bandhuhu
Sri Bhrigu said, my dear Lord, all living entities beginning from the highest, namely Lord Brahma, down to the ordinary ant, are under the influence of the insurmountable spell of illusory energy, and thus they are ignorant of their constitutional position. Everyone believes in the concept of the body, and all are thus submerged in the darkness of illusion. They are actually unable to understand how you live in every living entity as the super soul, nor can they understand your absolute position. But you are the eternal friend and protector of all surrendered souls. Therefore, please be kind toward us and forgive all our offenses. So he's saying everyone was, Bhrigu Muni was conscious of the scandalous behavior exhibited by each and every one of them, including Brahma and Lord Shiva in the sacrificial ceremony of Daksha. By mentioning Brahma, the chief of all living entities within this material world, he wanted to state that everyone, including also Brahma and Lord Shiva, is under the concept of the body and the spell of material energy. All but Vishnu. That is the version of Bhrigu. And in many cases that is a fact for us also. As long as we are in that kind of consciousness, it's not possible to really practice pure devotional service. What to speak of, theoretically there's a super soul in everyone's heart, we can say that, but are we aware of it? We are not. So bodily concept is one of the biggest problems for us, right? It expands from body to family to society to different levels. We see it. And then just like if somebody hits your car, you think somebody hit you. The reaction is like personal injury. So as long as you're under that concept, it's very difficult not just to understand the super soul, also the Supreme Personality of God. Anyway, he included himself as one of the fallens. But I was thinking, how would Lord Shiva think when he's saying like that, and how would Brahma think, Huh?
Because the mistake actually was done by Bhrigu. Bhrigu Muni. But he's fooling everybody else actually.
So that's why I said, just look at all the different prayers.
Misery needs company.
Yeah, misery loves company. So now we all at fault. So anyway, Prabhupada says, the only way to get out of all this kind of situation is to...
Guru has a different head now, right?
Yeah. No, he has a different beard.
Beard is the goat head.
Goat beard.
Daksha has the head.
Anyway,
Transplant.
anyway, the
First
thing
case of
DNA changed, and his beard is a goat's beard. So anyway, Prabhupada's point is we need to learn to surrender to Krishna somehow. Text 31.
So this is not really a pure prayer. It's a pure prayer, but you're saying if he is naming Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva.
Exactly. So there
it's
is...
not.
Huh?
That means he's not speaking from the point of view of absolute truth, or does he? I mean, he's including his seniors like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So what should we understand from that?
What do you think is happening?
It's factual.
Huh?
It's factual.
It's factual, but
Lord
you
Shiva
were
did
bringing
not
up the
speak
point
like
of
that.
how Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are feeling.
But remember, Srila Prabhupada said, this is the version of Bhrigu. That's how he wants to see it. Right?
Responsibility for everyone.
Yeah, even in a real life situation, if there's a burglary going on and there's 10 people watching, when they ask 10 people what they saw, you can get 10 different versions. So Bhrigu feels that, that including him, including even Brahma and Shiva and him, they all, didn't do a good,
But Lord Shiva does not speak in
he didn't speak like that. So that's why I say just pay attention to how each one is praying. They're all praying according to how they viewed it and how they feel. So similarly, when we approach a situation in our lives, and if your guru asks you, you will say what you feel, right? You always try to, it's an ego thing, you try to keep yourself like the good boy.
Not sure is pure.
Yeah. Except for that incident where he got angry.
That is also first time.
We can say it's pastime, but actually Daksha wasn't in a pastime situation. Daksha really
No, but I'm
meant
talking
it.
about Lord Shiva.
Yeah,
He didn't have to,
he didn't have to.
but the Lord teaches.
Exactly, that's what the whole thing is. When Brahma prays to him, this is the will of the Lord. Alright, text 31.
ब्रह्मोवाच नैतत्स्वरूपं भवतोऽसौ पदार्थ वेदगृहै पुरुषो यावदीक्षेत् ज्ञानस्य चार्थस्य गुणस्य चाश्रयो मायामयाद्व्यतिरिक्तो मतस्त्वम्
So Brahma said, my dear Lord, your personality, internal form cannot be understood by any person who is trying to know you through the different processes of acquiring knowledge. The position is always transcendental to the material creation, whereas the empiric attempt to understand you is material, as are its objectives and instruments. You can't understand the Lord by material calculation, basically. So, what is that? Pratyaksha, right? Empiric. What I see, feel through my senses. So it won't be perfect. So you cannot understand the Lord through our contaminated senses, but through purified senses one can see the Lord and appreciate the Lord like that. The Lord is aprakrita, beyond the creation of the material world. This fact is also accepted by the great impersonalist Sankaracharya. Narayana para vyakta andam avyakta sambhavam. Avyakta, or the original material cause, is beyond this material manifestation and is the cause of the material world. So because it's beyond the material manifestation, it's not possible for us with our material senses to speculate about him. It's not possible because we are a product of something that is superior, so it's not possible to understand unless that person allows us to know them. We do not know. Okay? Adoksaja. Deluding Katanamai. Well, yeah, okay, from his point of view. There's something always covering him, so we cannot understand. So the only way you can understand him is devotional service. The only quality that you need to understand Krishna is
Bhakti.
bhakti. Okay? Bhaktyamam avijananti. Okay? It's very important to know this thing. You cannot understand him by any other way, jnana or whatever, only by bhakti. That is the only qualification you need. Nothing else. There's no other material things. You cannot use anything else. Even when you approach a spiritual master to please, it has to be bhakti. Right? Not money, not donation. Not like that.
It's an expression. The key is
It is devotion. Even if you cook for your guru also, it has to be because of bhakti. It cannot be any other way. Then it's not it won't be translate into a service. If you are expecting something and you cook, it's you won't get the results. It cannot be like that. So bhakti is in all of them. Otherwise you cannot approach Krishna. Devotee always wants to please. Either he pleases another devotee, another guru like that, and or the Supreme Personality. Always trying to please. Why he has to please? He needs mercy, he wants to please. So he wants something. What else?
That's our constitutional position.
Yeah. It's our constitutional position. But in the covered stage, we want to get out of this situation, so we do it like that. But actually, it's our position. Okay. Again, Prabhupada quotes the verse Sevan Mukhehi Jivado. Okay. Again, we need to know how to please him. Attitude of service must be there. So we should glorify him, we should chant about him, we should distribute about him, we should do everything for him. Muddhas. What verse is that? Avijananti. Alright, text 82.
He pointed, I think Lord Brahma, he very intention. I think he also says you cannot understand the Lord by if you count all the snowflakes
Right,
in
right.
this world. So Lord, sometimes Lord Brahma, who is the supreme most intelligent of the
Jivas.
in the universe, he says that by intelligence you can.
Yeah, because he knows his own situation. He sees
And
from
in
his
fact,
point.
at the start of when he got created, he was trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
but he couldn't. So in
So it's
here
an experiential
and he always
realization.
talks about that by
So
material.
what can you understand by the way he always says like is he's based on his experience. He's done all that analysis and he knows you can't understand it. So generally we give our realization through our experience, and then it makes more sense because we have realized it through our experience, not simply just speculate. It's better, it's more potent if you experience and you can see, or whatever you go through your life experience, you can say this is what and this is how I understood, and that will make a more impact on another person listening and appreciating.
So best form of evidence is like the Shabda is realized.
Just it has to be realized, otherwise it's has to be realized. Just like when we hear so much from Prabhupada, sooner or later we will realize what he's saying. It is. Over the years you're realizing many levels of what he's saying. And that's then when you realize it's easy for you to explain. The difficulty when you can't explain is because you haven't experienced it completely, so to speak.
Experience comes to say.
Yes, that's why we serve, because then we are developing the service as well as the mercy. Indra.
Indra uvacha idam apyachyuta vishvabhavanam vapuranandakaram manodrusham suravidvikshapanairudayudair bhujadandair upapannamashtabhihi.
King Indra said, My dear Lord, your transcendental form with 8 hands and weapons in each of them appears for the welfare of the entire universe, and it is very pleasing to the mind and eyes. In such a form, your Lordship is always prepared to punish the demons who are envious of your devotees.
Very much like Indra.
Right?
Talking about defense,
Exactly. So
punishment.
that's why I wanted you all to see it from everyone's point of view. So he's saying he's happy to see all the weapons in the Lord's hand.
He is feeling protected.
Yeah, he's feeling
He is
protected.
So
Isn't it?
Dhruva or Prahlad saw, they would say very different kind of
Exactly. So everyone is seeing it according
perspective.
Atma in
how
one
they
way.
are seeing, feeling in their hearts.
Atma
It's
one
very
money.
nice anyway. So you were saying?
Atma one money.
No.
No, I was thinking actually, Indra was thinking, okay, Lord is now here, so my kingdom is safe.
Yeah, that's true.
With all the weapons and
He's getting into the minds of the
Demigods.
He can chant so nicely and so fast because he knows what it is.
Prabhupada writes in the Prabhupada, it's quite interesting also. It is generally understood from revealed scriptures that Lord Vishnu appears with 4 hands, but in this particular sacrificial arena, Lord Vishnu arrived with 8 hands. King Indra said, even though we are accustomed to see your 4-handed Vishnu form, this appearance with 8 hands is as real as the 4-handed form. As Lord Brahma had said, to realize the transcendental form of the Lord is beyond the power of the senses. In reply to that statement by Brahma, King Indra said that even though the transcendental form of Lord is not perceivable by material senses, his activities and his transcendental form can be understood. That's interesting also. The Lord's uncommon features, uncommon activities, and uncommon beauty can be perceived even by ordinary men. Okay? It is possible when the Lord shows his mercy, then they can understand. For example, when Lord Krishna appeared just like a 6 or 7-year-old boy in Vrindavan, he was approached by the residents there. There were torrents of rain, and the Lord saved the residents of Vrindavan by lifting Govardhan hill and resting it on the little finger of his left hand for 7 days. This uncommon feature of the Lord should convince even materialistic persons who want to speculate to the limit of their material senses. That's a difficult thing, you know. If you see someone carrying with one finger and then you see him with your senses, it's kind of mind-boggling, you know. Like one of those magicians, right? Is that David Copperfield? Who else does all the magician? Huh?
PC Sarkar.
PC Sarkar, who else? You know, all those famous guys in the US, you know, they do all this. So there's all illusion. But when you see a little kid holding the little finger, it's just mind-boggling. May not be easy to understand it or even accept it, you know. But if you are right there, seeing it, you are forced to accept it. You can only speculate afterwards. Those without faith will speculate still, that must be something else. Interestingly, when Krishna was holding the Govardhan, then because of something, he looked at the gopis for a while and he shaked his hand a little bit, so the whole hill shifted. So then all the cowherd men put the stick up, thinking that he can't hold.
There's a painting we saw in the Dallas temple of cowherd men holding it, and then some of them their expression is like like they're putting their arm around other cowherd men and just like kind of expressing that don't worry, I'm there, I'm holding it.
Yeah, that's Sharma.
Yeah, Bibi Sharma.
Prabhupada makes another nice statement. The activities of the Lord are pleasing to experimental vision also. But personalists will not believe in his identity because they study the personality of the Lord by comparing their personality to his, which is common with a lot of us also. You know, we always think, oh, I must be like the Lord or something like that. Because men in this world cannot lift the mountains, so they also think Krishna can't lift it. So then Prabhupada is now telling how the people who claim that Srimad Bhagavatam is all allegorical or mythological, right? They try to interpret in their own way. But factually the Lord lifted the hill in the presence of all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, as corroborated by great acharyas and authors like Vyasadeva and Narada. So everything about the Lord should be accepted as is and not to be interpreted. So therefore, King Indra's statement, your presence with 8 hands is as good as your presence with 4 hands. There's no doubt about it. That's a very nice thing. On the one hand, when you read what Indra says, we are thinking he's talking about the power of the Lord. But Prabhupada gives us another view of what it really means. I like that. Text 33.
Oh, may I ask it? Like we're talking about service in the previous text also. So what are the different ways in which the service should manifest? Like one thing is, we are sharing Krishna consciousness with others, and that's
a service.
That's a service. Then there are other services that we may do in the temple. Then there are what is the balance between all these different types of services?
What do you mean?
No, in the sense that one may affect me in some way. If I continuously keep teaching, then I may get affected in a certain way. So balance will be out with someone.
Well, you should know, right, by now how much you can do and how much you can't do.
No, in the sense of dissolving the false ego.
That will take some time, no? You can convince yourself to convince yourself. You can double layer your ego to make you feel good also, right?
No, and also some services we do alone, some services we do in association.
Yeah.
So I feel like when I do in association, it's easier, better, more focused, less.
Well, if you do service with someone else, and if you're not talking about Krishna, but then you're talking Prajalpa, then that also is not so good. Oftentimes that's the problem, devotees on the altar, they'll talk, invariably they'll talk something. The best is to have either Prabhupada's lecture or he's chanting something, so everyone focus on that and and focus on the service at hand. If you are alone serving, again you can have Prabhupada's lectures going on, like in the kitchen when you're cooking. You can listen to the class and cook, so your mind is not wandering or thinking of something, you're not happy or something. You know, we are in the material world, so there's always something going to affect us. So either positive thoughts or negative, but still in the material world is not what we want. So you want to associate with Krishna 24/7 somehow. We can't do it, no? You do it for one couple of hours and then you can't maintain it.
Couple hours.
No, like you do, right? Chanting for 2 hours. I'm just saying. So then you can't do it after that.
Mind says rest now, so give us a
Yeah.
break.
Mind finds a way to escape.
Yeah, because you allow the mind, and that's where.
Captain.
So you need to. That's why Prabhupada made us morning program go out to do books. So you're forced to deal with it. You know, give books. You got to deal with your mind, and you can't. You have to do that one or the other. So then you control your mind like that. That's one way. The other way is, again, it boils down to proper chanting. False ego is because 2 ways your false ego can be increased. Is first, you naturally can come to this world with some good qualities. So then everyone keeps saying you have that good quality. So then your false ego becomes good. Pretty good. False ego. And then the other way your false ego gets involved is because everyone comes to you for certain thing, you think you are better. You know, automatically your mind will say, yeah, you can do all that, you can do like that. So then whether you are alone, you will think I'm better, and when you're with someone, you will think I'm still better than. No, right? You think like that. So false ego, best way to get rid of false ego is to serve somebody. Serve someone you don't like, that's the best way. But if you're going to be with someone who's always going to like you, then there's
praise you.
No pain.
there's no gain actually.
Only loss.
Because they are going to
Again.
fan
your
your
ego.
ego and you want it to be fanned.
Naturally.
So even in school, right, if you're a very good student, the teacher will praise you and you like that.
Spoiled.
Right? You like that and you also want to show the teacher. So your ego gets puffed up and naturally that's how. So you need to find balancing that means you really have to see where you can serve, where you can learn, you know, where you can be a servant, not a person who is in charge. Best job is to go and wash the bathroom, the toilet, and once in a while you all should take rotations. Maybe all the managers should take rotations. All the managers, you know, have a roster every week, one guy. No, honestly, if you keep doing it, then you learn. Yeah, you know, I'm not. After all, I'm just a servant. So today my service is in the bathroom, toilet, like that. You know, in the beginning days, devotees were doing like that. They will just clean bathroom, toilets, and then nowadays the guy has PhD only. Oh, you come here, sit properly. Oh, be careful, you want a cushion? That's how they treat her. And then he doesn't even want to go in the bathroom or do any service, but he's, because of the big brain, you know, careful, keep the brain straight. So we need to use your brain. So then we treat them like that, and then they don't learn humility. You know?
We see this in the example of Harindas Prabhu here. Every time he's in the temple, he's cleaning.
He's doing something, right? Because it's
all
from
the time.
the old system, no? So all of you are new system, so what are you all doing?
So we're trying to introduce this system of 2-minute service. And anytime you go to the temple, you pick up a small area of the temple, actually pick up, and then whenever you go to the temple, you serve. You clean up that area, because you can't clean up every area.
Yeah, so do
There's some
something
area.
there.
There's something So that the idea is that at least when I go to the temple, I do something.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know if that helps you, but alright, text 33.
Patnya uchuhu yagnoyam tava yagna yagnoyam tava yajanayakena srishto vidvastap pashupatinadya dakshakopat tam nastvam tava shayanabashantamedham yagnatmanalina rucha drusha punihi.
Not the right meter, but anyway, you managed to put it in. Why so the performance of the sacrifice say, my dear Lord, this sacrifice was arranged under the instruction of Brahma, but unfortunately Lord Shiva, being angry at Daksha, devastated the entire scene, and because of his anger the animals meant for sacrifice are lying dead. Therefore the preparations of the yajna have been lost. Now by the glance of the lotus eye, the sanctity of this sacrificial arena may be again invoked. Look at that, they're really blaming, right?
They didn't even mention Daksha what he did.
Yeah.
No, because they are concerned about how the place is looking and
Yeah,
the
you can
animals
see
are
that.
not there.
It's very interesting.
Women.
I don't know. If we were there, we would say something.
Exactly.
Right? We will not have the right words to say anything.
Anyway, this yajna requires animal sacrifice, right? But Lord Shiva and his men, they destroyed that. So everywhere it's scattered, it looks like a crematorium, as Prabhupada is saying. So the real purpose was lost, and so these women were feeling bad that they did that. Because as far as they were concerned, they come there for, most ladies come to Sunday feast for what? Sharing their sari stories and where they bought it, discounts and stuff like that. The same thing, they're like, we came to do this and now this happened. So from their point of view, there was nothing wrong from Daksha's place. So in any case, Prabhupada says that the purport here is that animals should not be unnecessarily killed. They were used to prove the strength of the mantras and were to have been rejuvenated by the use of the mantras. They should not have been killed as they were by Lord Shiva to replace the head of Daksha with an animal's head. It was pleasing to see an animal sacrificed and rejuvenated, and that pleasing atmosphere had been lost. The wives of the priests requested that the animals be brought back to life by the glance of Lord Vishnu to make a pleasing yajna.
Compassion.
Yeah, at the same time it's interesting,
But after that, they are anyway going to actually sacrifice animals, right?
Yeah, but then the animals won't die, right?
Yeah, they will come back.
So therefore there's no loss of life. Interesting, though. I mean, they could pray and ask for pure devotional service, right?
Like Prahlad Maharaj would say, by the will of providence this has happened.
Yeah.
He would not say Shiva killed or this killed. Like pointing.
Anyway, these ladies, right, they just feel disturbed and they're saying, oh, he killed. It's like when the little kids in the house, they make a mess, and then the parents open the door, they point the finger
The other child.
the other child. Alright, 34.
Vishaya uchuhu ananvitam te bhagavan vicheshtitam yadatmana charasi hi karmanajyase vibhutaye yata upashedurishwarim namanyate swayamanuvartitim bhavan.
Sages prayed Dear Lord, your activities are most wonderful, and although you do everything by your different potencies, you are not at all attached to such activities. You are not even attached to the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by the great demigods like Brahma, who pray to achieve her mercy. So we know that the Lord has no desire to achieve. Even in the first verse of the Bhagavatam, right? He is nothing, he doesn't need anything. He is the cause of all causes. He is Swarat, independent. And he doesn't need to follow whatever people ask, unless he takes an avatar and then wants to serve his devotee in a certain way, that's different. But otherwise he has no need to do any kind of activities. But if he does any activities, it is wonderful. It's very pleasing. Okay? Prabhupada quotes the 4th chapter, Namam Karmani Limpanti. Okay? Although he acts very wonderfully, he is not at all attached to anything. Okay? And there's also another thing where the Lord says, right, in the 9th chapter, all beings are in me and yet I'm not in them. What does it mean?
He's the cause of everything, but he is
He is there in the spiritual world.
One
By his energy.
By his energy, his expansion. Yeah.
But he is
He's
separately situated as Bhagavan.
He's individual. His individuality.
And he's
is-
as Bhagavan separate outside of
Bhagavan out there, all things are in me, in my energy, in my
Brahman,
expansion.
in my Brahman.
Everything are in me, but I'm not in them.
He's talking about Brahman and Bhagavan.
One at a time. Yeah. He's talking about
Brahman.
He's talking about Brahman, right? Okay. What does he mean?
Like he's untouched by the modes of material nature and
All things are in me means
Everything
my energy.
exists within
sustained
my...
and by him.
yes, everything is under my
control.
My
Energy, jurisdiction.
jurisdiction, under my Brahman, under my material energy. Everything is in me. In that sense, everything is in me. But I'm not in them. I, as a Supreme Personality Godhead, Krishna, I'm not in them.
I'm aloof from
But
everything.
my expansion is in
Paramatma.
as Paramatma is one. So that's the proper understanding. Right?
Chintya Abheda.
Achinta Veda Abheda.
They're very most confusing concept, I think.
Not really. Not really. It is Achintya. We can't conceive of it, but we can at least understand that he can expand, It's like the sky is there, but the clouds are all in there, but it's not the sky.
So the example there Prabhupada gives is the wind is there in the sky.
Yes.
No, Krishna himself gives that.
Yeah.
In the next verse.
Your memory is
I'm right now.
No, Krishna gives and then Prabhupada talks about it.
To understand like the sky is, everything is within the sky, still the sky.
Yes. So that's very important to understand. So in the same way, Krishna is wonderful like that. Whatever he does is wonderful. Everything he does is wonderful. But at the same time, he is not attached to anything. So you saw that in the rasa dance. He was wonderfully dancing with all of them, and suddenly boom, he disappears. And then they are all looking for him. And he's not attached at all, not at all. Not at all. So that is his opulence, that he can do that.
But how could he leave them though?
That's something that
Because
he
even
explains.
He can't live in separation
Yes,
from his own
his own
devotees.
devotees. Yeah. But he says that later on. But he just wants to show them that he can still go away.
And to
He
increase
actually he could, except for one person he couldn't.
And the idea is just to increase your hand.
Yeah.
Vipradamba.
So generally the Lord is self-satisfied, self-sufficient. So here even the goddess of fortune, she tries to serve him, but he's not really attached to her. You can see she's busily trying to massage and he's thinking about all his other things.
And periodically leaves her also.
And he leaves her periodically. That is a fact. And then in the in Goloka, Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sisampa Vriksha Laksha Vrikteshu Surabhena Vipali. So many.
Lakshmi
So
Sahasra.
yes. So many Lakshmis. Thousands upon thousands. Lakshmi. And he's still not attached to anyone except one, maybe. Except one, actually. So this is the position of the Lord, and he's not like us. We get attached to so many things. Every day we get attached to one thing, and after a few months we throw it and get attached to another thing. Right? It's true, right? If there was such a law that every man and woman can take a new wife every 6 months, how popular it will be.
So now they don't need that law.
Yeah, no need, but still, if they make a law like that, they will be so pleased, you know. We are not like the Supreme. Right? We have to be following rules and regulations so that we can at least control our mind and senses. Otherwise, it will be all chaos. That's the difference between independence. What independent? We have just a little bit free will and look at the nonsense we do. Right? Huh?
Too much.
And so therefore, this practice of Krishna consciousness is so important that we don't, it helps us not to become so fallen actually. Chaos, real chaos we can create. No? Prabhupada says we are all like, if you don't follow Krishna, we are like little tiny Hiranyakashipus and Ravanas.
While practicing also.
Yeah. Because just see, one Ravana and one Hiranyakashipu cause so much chaos. So we are all small like him, and we're causing chaos everywhere we go.
Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's influence is what's stopping us. Otherwise, this would have been destroyed by now.
We would have killed each other. That's how it is. Siddhas. Text 35.
Siddha uchuhu ayam tvatkatamrishtapiyoshanadyam manovarana kleshadavagnidagdaha Trishartvavagdo na samsaradavam na nishkramati brahma sampannavam naha.
The Siddhas prayed like an elephant that has suffered in a forest fire but can forget all its troubles by entering a river. Our minds, O Lord, always merge in the nectarian river of your transcendental pastimes, and they desire never to leave such transcendental bliss, which is as good as the pleasure of merging in the Absolute. So you can see these personalities are, well, they are pure devotees. In the pastimes. Merging in an Absolute doesn't mean it's impersonal. That means they are saturated with the thought and together with the Lord's pastimes. Yeah, they are pure devotees. So Prabhupada quotes, similarly there's a statement by Prahlad Maharaj that those who always merge in the ocean and nectar of describing the Lord's pastimes are liberated and have no fear of the material condition of life. The Siddhas say that the mind of an ordinary person is full of anxieties. Is that true?
Yes, saturated.
Yes. So do you experience anxieties? So then we have to fill it up with Krishna Katha. The example is given of the elephant who has suffered in a forest fire and enters into a river for relief. So if persons are suffering the forest fire of this material existence will only enter into the nectarian of description, the passing of the Lord, they will forget all the troubles of the miserable material existence. They are not interested in anything, huh? They just want to simply merge in the discussion and never leave that discussion and merge of transcendence.
Put sick leave and read Bhagavatam.
Yeah, like Sanatan and Rupa Goswami. They did sickling and then the Khan came and arrested Sanatan. 636.
यजमान्य उवाच स्वागतं ते प्रसीद देशतुभ्यं नमः ब्रह्मसंहिता स्वागतं ते प्रसीदेशतुभ्यं नमः स्वागतं ते प्रसीदेशतुभ्यं नमः श्रीनिवास श्रियकान्तयक्त्राहिनः त्वमार्त्यदीशानङ्गैर्मकशोभते शीर्षाहिनाका बन्धु यथा पुरुषः
Wife of Daksha prayed as follows. My dear Lord, it is very fortunate that you have appeared in this arena of sacrifice. Offer my respectful obeisance unto you, and I request that you be pleased on this occasion. The sacrificial arena is not beautiful without you, just as the body is not beautiful without the head.
She's expressing her pain.
Yeah.
Husband's head is gone.
Huh?
Husband's head is gone.
Yeah.
But
that's-
still, Prabhu, she's able to speak like that.
She spoke nicely.
Yeah.
Let's see. So his name, another name of Vishnu is Yagneshwara, right? Okay, and let's see. This is confirmed by the wife of Daksha. Without your presence, the grandeur of this sacrificial ceremony is useless, just as a body without the head, however decorated it may be, is useless. A comparison is equally applicable to the social body. Material civilization is very proud of being advanced, but is actually the useless trunk of a body without a head. Without Krishna consciousness, without an understanding of Vishnu, the Supreme Personality Godhead, any advancement in civilization, no matter how sophisticated, is of no value. Very interesting the way Prabhupada connected the head to the
Social body.
social. Very nice. So generally people want to only decorate the body and so on, but then there's no Krishna consciousness. The soul is the real personality, but they want to decorate externally, right? Like the bird in the cage. We neglect the bird but polish the cage. And so Prabhupada said that sort of decoration of the dead body has no actual value. And even though when people die, they still decorate the dead body, right?
Yeah.
So they send to what those guys called?
No.
The casting guy, perm process.
What they call them?
The funeral people.
Undertakers.
Yeah.
Undertakers, yeah.
So then they put all kinds of things. They inject
The balm.
all the balming process, right?
So that they look beautiful.
And then they look even nice, presentable. You know, they put tie and all those, and then it's interesting how much we value the dead body.
This is there for many years now. Because I was reading one class, Radhakrishna Swami, and he was mentioning that he was a small boy. At that time also they used to, like, not
Yeah,
immediately
yeah,
they'll bury, they'll take the time to make the body
Yeah, yeah.
become very
It's
beautiful.
been going on
Put those
since
injections and everything.
time
Makeup also.
immemorial. People are doing it. The Egyptians do it.
Their understanding is that in the same body they will be
They come
resurrected.
Yeah, that's a confusion for them, because Egyptian culture is actually a derivation of the Vedic culture. It's all screwed up.
The Kshatriyas who fled went to Egypt and
When Parasuram was doing his dance, they all ran.
to Egypt and Europe.
Greek,
Europe.
Not
then
Egypt.
Greece, Rome, all those two, then up to Egypt, then up to
They
that.
went all the uninhabitable land.
Huh?
They went all the uninhabitable land.
Yeah.
right? The more
And
the
they cultivate.
icy region. England.
That I do not know about England.
That's what
That is fine. Mainly Persia, that side they mostly went.
I heard like it's all England and upper that upper.
Possible.
But then the Kandahar, the Gandhar was there
Part of the Vedic.
before or after Parsuram?
They were there all. They were all there.
That was Bharatvarsha.
Yeah, they were all there. During Parsuram's time, most of the Kshatriyas ran away towards
Uninhabitable lands.
the Greek side. They ran very far away. So, as far as I know, it's Greek and Egypt. That's what Prabhupada mentions. He doesn't talk about England and all that.
Maybe
No,
from
Prabhupada
Greece
gives
it
Greece
spread.
was given by King Yayati's descendants.
That's different, no? Yeah, these are different. Not Parsuram.
No, Parshuram, I think what I read is
Mm.
tried to find out.
Maybe from Mahabharata you may have read. I have not read Mahabharata. But anyway, yeah. What's your question?
No, the question is that like the civilization is not, they have some understanding, but because they were not the proper Kshatriyas also. They were like
You
the
could
ones who
say
were not following properly.
they were not following properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they modified and stuff like that.
So
As time also passes, so it changes also.
Possible.
But therefore we still see similarity in the
Some-
the
some-
demigods and the
Yes.
all those.
Yes.
Who do they worship? Egyptians?
I know about the Greek.
Who they worship goat?
Okay. So anyway, let's continue.
So one question Prabhu. Somebody was mentioning when Robert Maharaj came here that all in the palace of the Ming dynasty there were a lot of pictures of demigods. So that
The
was also
Chinese
been a
also have. Yeah.
Vedic culture, similar to Vedic culture.
I won't say like Vedic culture, but they have very similar kind of things.
The Kirata, Kirata.
Khasa,
Kasha.
the one with
Khasa.
short hair on the
Kasha. Yeah, they worship so many different. They have a personality called Kuan Yin, but he's a male and a female at the same time. It's kind of weird. So anyway, they say God is a mercy, but actually it's a male, sometimes female, and other times. Some
But then
people
those
say
are not part of the Varnashram, right?
Which
Kirata,
one?
Hunanda,
No, they're not.
Krishna.
They're not following any Vedic cultures. But the influence could be there, like the kings of they conquered many of these Asian regions all the way up to Indonesia. So if you go to Indonesia, Bali and all, it's all Hindus, all smartas. Yeah.
And the airport.
Yeah. So you see them, they're not even Indians, they all look like the local people. But they're all practicing, they worship Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, all those things.
Oh,
So
really, Prabhu? In Indonesia?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you go to the airport itself, you will see.
The
Even
Samudra
the
Manthan.
Samudra Manthan is there in the
Oh.
airport.
Singapore has that.
Thailand has
Yeah,
Thailand.
Thailand is like
Brahmas
India
temples.
only.
Some now nothing is like India, okay? India is also not like India. It's all gone already.
the king is
I'm
from
saying
Rama.
the remnants of the culture is still in some places. Yeah.
In Thailand, still the king is called always Rama.
They
Something like that.
not always. They have different names. Yeah.
Where all the Muslims get together and do Ramayana drama.
They
So
were
they
able
treat
to
it as a culture rather than religion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they are
mean, anyway,
Muslims now. They're Indonesia, all Muslims.
in Indonesia mostly Muslims, but in the Java and those places, there's one or two cities. They have Hindu Indonesians. Yeah. So here it says Prasuti. She is because her sister's son is Kapila Dev, therefore his personality of Godhead. So therefore when Vishnu came, automatically Prasuti is the aunt of Vishnu. So Prabhupada, she was asking the favor of Lord Vishnu in an affectionate mood, since she was his aunt. She sought some special favor. Interesting. So then another point, Prabhupada says, Lord Vishnu is worshipped with his internal energy by the Vaishnavas. Prasuti, the wife of Daksha, implored the Lord to turn the priests into Vaishnavas instead of simply fruity workers performing sacrifices for some material benefits. Now that's a good thing, right? That should how devotees should be, always pray for others' benefit. Text 37.
Lokapala ujuhu Drishta kim no dhrigbira sagruhaistvam Pratyagra drishta drishyate yena vishvam Maya hyesha bhavadiya hi bhuman Yastvam shasta panchabhirbhasi bhutaihi.
Try the other meter.
You should teach a course because every time you're coming up with a new one. All meters combined. Huh? All meters.
Maya yesha bhavadiyahi bhuman. Shasta panchabhirbhasi bhutaihi.
Because if you keep saying Brahma Samhita, then you forget this.
Translation. The governors of various planets spoke as follows: Dear Lord, we believe only in our direct perception, but under the circumstances we do not know whether we have actually seen you with our material senses. By our material senses we can simply perceive the cosmic manifestation, but you are beyond the five elements, you are the sixth. We see you therefore as a creation of the material world. Very interesting, huh?
So they got the mercy, but they are unable to believe.
Prabhupada says, certainly materially opulent, these governors, and are very puffed up. Such persons are unable to understand the transcendental eternal form of the Lord. So even though they know he is the beyond the five elements, still they want to see him as creation of the material world. So one should be akinchana gocharam janmaishwarya. All those must be given up. Then the Lord will allow you to see him. So here they don't even want to accept that. They like, still we see you material. Maybe they have been humble, but Prabhupada says they are very puffed up.
So what are they saying that they cannot believe that this is?
They don't believe.
They can only see.
They say we can see everything material, so you must be material.
Because we can't see anything.
Yeah, more than that.
So they're not saying that because of the mercy of the Lord they are able to see.
Yeah, they're not saying that because of mercy we can see you. Instead they're saying we can see everything material, so you must be material. Arrogance. That's what Prabhupada says.
But
The scientists think like that, no?
They also say you are beyond the fire.
They say we know, you're beyond, but then I think you're still material. Like that.
Lokalas are four lokalas.
Yeah? Is it four? I do not know.
Lokapala.
Agni? Make quest for these are governors, no? I don't know whether you are saying the same person. Or
Lokala, remember the word here.
no.
Sometimes the Lokpala can be used and Bhagavan is used in
Anyway, these personalities here are all materialists. Text 38.
Yogeshwara ujuhu प्रेयन्न तेऽन्योस्त्यमुतस्त्वयि प्रभो विश्वात्मनीक्षण पृथग्य आत्मनः. I saw him.
Don't see him.
No, I'm happy to hear.
Why don't you chant? Prabhu, you chant. Prabhu. No.
Just chant. Prayanna te'anyasti amutastvai prabhu.
Prayanna te'anyostyamutastvai prabhu.
Vishwamanekshena pritakya atmana.
Vishwatmanekshana pratakya atmanah.
Tapi bhaktisha tayopadavatam.
Atapi bhaktesha tayopadavatam.
Ananya vrityanugrihana vatsala.
Ananya vrittanugrahana vatsala.
Now it sounds like Sanskrit.
The great mystic said, Dear Lord, persons who see you as non-different from themselves, knowing that you are the super soul of all living entities, are certainly very, very dear to you. You are very favorable toward those who engage in devotional service, accepting you as the Lord and themselves as the servants. By your mercy, you are always inclined in their favor. Yeah. So here Prabhupada says it's indicated in this verse that the Monis and the great mystics know the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one. This oneness is not the misunderstanding that a living entity is equal in every respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This monism is based on pure knowledge as described and confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Priyo hi jnanino tyartam maham sacha mama priya. The Lord says that those who are advanced in transcendental knowledge and know the science of Krishna consciousness are very dear to Him, and He also is very dear to them. Those who are actually in perfect knowledge of the science of God know that the living entity is a superior energy of the Supreme Lord. So, towards the end, Prabhupada writes, the particular significance of this verse is that the Lord is addressed as Vatsala. Vatsala means always favorably disposed. The Lord's name is Bhakta Vatsala. The Lord is famous as Bhakta Vatsala, which means that He is always favorably inclined to the devotees, whereas He is never addressed anywhere in the Vedic literature as Jnani Vatsala.
Transcendental humor.
That is very nice. I will stop here. Just go and think, if you were there in the same yagna, what would your prayers be?
Words won't come out.
So write it down. No, after when the Lord comes, you are there, so how will you would pray? How would you glorify? What would you say? Right? Even let's say the Lord appears now, so you don't know what to pray, how to pray, right? Right? What are you going to say?
Brahma, Kunti Devi, Dhruva, Prahlad,